Good Wednesday morning. Thanks for joining us on Kare 11 News Now. I'm Alicia Lewis. We have breaking news right now. 2 women are behind bars accused of killing an Army veteran in Minneapolis. It happened during an attempted car theft on Friday. Our Audrey Russo is joining us with more.
We're not naming these women until they're formally charged in this case, but Minneapolis police say they're 18 and 19 years old. They were arrested in St. Paul and now they're sitting in Hennepin County Jail. Take a look at this picture. This is 38-year-old Amos Ferrier, who police say witnessed 2 people trying to steal his car outside Rick's Coffee Bar on Friday. They say Ferrier ran across the street to stop them. The 2 suspects got back in their own car and hit Ferrier as they drove away, according to police. Now, Ferrier died over the weekend. He previously served in the Army and oversaw the Veterans Internship Program at Rick's Coffee Bar, where friends have built a growing memorial.
He was a medic, credited with saving multiple lives while in Afghanistan. He was a big guy, and he had a big laugh, and his laugh was infectious.
Again, charges could come down soon. I did check the Hennepin District Court schedule, though. I didn't see the suspects listed for today. Back to you.
Right now, we're tracking 2 cases with suspects wanted in the metro. The first we brought you was breaking news yesterday on Sunrise. Take a look at your screen. State Patrol is looking for an SUV similar to this one involved in a deadly hit and run in Brooklyn Park. They say the gray 2016 to 2019 Toyota RAV4 would have damage to the front passenger side bumper and rain guard, as well as it's missing a passenger mirror and fog lamp. Investigators say that the car was heading southbound on Highway 252 at around 1:30 yesterday morning and hit a woman walking on the side of the road near 73rd Avenue North. Anyone with information is asked to call State Patrol. In Minneapolis, police are looking for the person who stole a car with a young kid inside last night. MPD says this happened outside of Children's Hospital near 25th and Chicago. They say the child's mom went inside and someone stole the car with her 4-year-old still inside. Less than half hour later, officers say that the child was dropped off at Abbott Northwestern Hospital. Police are also still looking for the vehicle. This week, Minneapolis City Council will once again discuss whether to approve a proposed public safety training center that has already been rejected once this year. The Committee of the Whole put the discussion over whether to buy the site for $6 million on the council's agenda for Thursday without a recommendation on how to vote. Mayor Jacob Fry says it would house training for all the city's emergency responders and that it's needed because other training facilities are aging. But council members previously rejected the plan, saying they were concerned about the project's total $40 million price tag. This morning, we know how long a Lakeville man will be in prison after scamming an elderly dementia patient out of more than $1 million. Lou Ragoose has the details on the case that he's been following since 2024.
A man who convinced his elderly neighbor with dementia to adopt him as his son, then drained $1.6 million from his bank account, is sentenced to just shy of 4 years in prison.
Joe, would you like to comment? Oh, we don't.
Joseph Robinson was allowed to walk out of court free in his order to turn himself into prison at a later date. Things got a little testy outside the courthouse.
Joe, what happened to all the money?
He doesn't. He doesn't.
Sir,
He doesn't.
Back up.
He
Back
doesn't.
up.
He
Back
doesn't.
up.
The reason I was asking what happened to the money is that prosecutors say they were not able to trace any of it in order to seize back. They say the money is gone. The evidence in the case included a number of checks the old man wrote to Robinson. Robinson then became his power of attorney, and the man adopted Robinson at age 41 as his son. The victim did not even remember signing his house over to Robinson. The victim's family were able to stop it before Robinson could sell the house. In court, Robinson still called the man his dad, saying that he loves him, misses him, and cared for him 7 days a week. Robinson pleaded guilty to wire fraud and also apologized to the judge. The man is now 85 years old, has dementia, and is living in an assisted living home. I'm Lou Ragoose. Follow for more news.
We have breaking business news just in the newsroom this morning. Target has released its earnings report for the first quarter of the year, exceeding expectations. The numbers come as Target's trying to win back customers with aggressive moves and leadership changes as it faced boycotts over its Pride lineup and rollbacks on DEI initiatives. The company expected 2% growth over last year, and they're reporting 6.7% growth. They say digital sales and same-day delivery also grew. This morning, the DNR says it has identified people of interest in the so-called Flanders fire in the Brainerd Lakes area. They're still investigating exactly how it started, but say they've pinpointed where it sparked on the north shore of Flanders Lake. The DNR is asking anyone in the area with cameras to reach out. Officials say the fire is now 95% contained and evacuation orders have been lifted around the area. The fire burned nearly 1,700 acres. Over on the North Shore, officials say a power line sparked the Stewart Lake fire near Two Harbors. It's now fully contained but burned more than 350 acres and 34 buildings. Voters cast primary ballots in 6 states on Tuesday, setting the stage for November's critical midterm elections. It was also a chance for President Trump to demonstrate his influence. NBC's Alice Barr has more.
Hi there. President Trump's loyalty test for Republican members of Congress comes just as polls show his approval ratings dropping amid frustrations over the cost of living and the war with Iran, all with control of Congress up for grabs these midterms. President Trump notching another victory in his scorecard of Republican foes ousted from Congress with his hand-picked challenger Ed Galrine.
I want to thank President Trump for his support.
Projected to topple 7-term Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie, who defended the times he bucked his party.
If the legislative branch always votes with the president, we do have a king.
Clashes with Massie over the budget, the war with Iran, and the Epstein files angered President Trump.
Thomas Massie's a terrible congressman.
The president now setting his sights on a Texas Republican Senate runoff, pitting longtime incumbent Senator John Cornyn against Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, who just picked up President Trump's endorsement.
He thinks I'm the best candidate and that I will actually help him get some of these things done.
The president on Truth Social called Cornyn a good man he'd worked well with, but said, quote, he was not supportive of me when times were tough. Cornyn responding to the Paxton endorsement.
I think that will certainly have an impact, but we're not giving up the fight.
The power of the president's backing on full display, even as his approval ratings are falling, with control of the House and Senate on the line. In another race critical to that power battle, Georgia Republican Congressman Mike Collins and former football coach Derek Dooley projected to be headed for a Senate runoff to take on Democratic incumbent Senator Jon Ossoff in a battleground state key to deciding the fate of the president's agenda in Congress. Also in Georgia, former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms defeated a crowded Democratic field for governor, set to take on the winner of a Republican runoff between Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones and billionaire healthcare executive Rick Jackson. While an increasingly swingy swing state, Georgia has not elected a Democratic governor in nearly 30 years. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Let's turn now to the Americans quarantining at a Nebraska medical facility following exposure to hantavirus. The CDC now says the nearly 20 passengers from the deadly cruise outbreak are not allowed to leave after initially saying they could quarantine at home. They will be required to isolate there until at least May 31st. Meanwhile, an American surgeon who tested positive in the deadly Ebola outbreak in Africa is now in Germany receiving specialized emergency care. The missionary group he was traveling with believes that he was exposed while operating on a patient in Congo 1 week before the outbreak was announced. Well, for once, the rumors were actually right. Minnesota has officially been named the host city for the 2028 NFL Draft. U.S. Bank Stadium in downtown Minneapolis is going to anchor the main event with smaller watch parties spread throughout the city. Minnesota Sports and Events will be taking the lead on all the planning with events in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and in Bloomington. They estimate somewhere around 100,000 people will be around the stadium on draft night.
We've, leaned into reports from previous draft host cities, tell us what you learned, right? And so a lot of these communities reported an economic impact of 100 million to 200 million plus. Detroit was 213 million in total economic spending for the region. So that was a huge number.
That is a lot. He says that Detroit's reportedly roughly 30% of attendees were visitors that traveled more than 100 miles. He also says they plan to have a number of activities that are uniquely Minnesota. Hopefully the weather is nice at the end of April. Well, stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.